Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Polish ebook before it's gone.
Welcome to PolishPod101.com's Polski w 3 minuty. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Polish. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło Cię poznać. Hi, I'm Joanna. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Polish expressions. It's super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Polish. We'll start speaking right away. But first, it's important to clarify that in Polish often there is a difference between formal and informal language. Let's first see how Polish people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Hi, I'm Joanna. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło mi Cię poznać means nice to meet you, but Polish people don't really use this phrase. In informal situations, it's better if you just say miło mi. Start by saying cześć, jestem, then say your name. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Finally, if you want, say miło mi. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Miło mi. And now let's see the same sentence in formal speech. Dzień dobry, nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Pana poznać. Good day, my name is Joanna Suchecka. Nice to meet you. Dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Pana poznać. This is what you say if you're talking to a man. If you're talking to a woman, say dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Panią poznać. Dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Panią poznać. So, what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these expressions together. Cześć has been substituted with the formal greeting dzień dobry, Polish for good day or good morning. Jestem Joanna also changed. Jestem simply means I am. However, during a formal self-introduction, you should avoid saying this. It's better to say nazywam się Joanna Suchecka, which means my name is Joanna Suchecka. Also, in formal situations, please remember to say your full name. Finally, pay attention to the ending. We went from miło Cię poznać to miło mi Pana or Panią poznać. We changed Cię into Pana or Panią. If you use Cię, you're addressing someone around your age. But if you find yourself in a formal situation or talk to a person who's older than you, use Pana to address a man or Panią to address a woman. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Polish is cześć. Jestem Joanna. Miło mi. The formal way to introduce yourself is dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Pana poznać. Or dzień dobry. Nazywam się Joanna Suchecka. Miło mi Panią poznać. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. If you feel confused about the nice to meet you part, feel free to skip it. As I mentioned before, Polish people don't use it much. When you introduce yourself, it's a good habit to shake hands. It doesn't matter whether you're meeting a man or a woman. Do the handshake. Remember to make it quite firm. If your hand is too loose, it gives the other person a bad impression. We also say it feels like holding a dead fish. That's it for this lesson. Do you know how we say thank you in Polish? You'll learn how to say this and much more in the next lesson. Do zobaczenia! See you! Cześć, jestem Joanna. Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome to PolishPod101.com's Polski w 3 minuty. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Polish. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Polish. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Gotowi? Are you ready? Let's start. There are 2 ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest one. It's just one word. Dziękuję. Dziękuję. Dziękuję means thank you. When saying thank you very much, you just need to add bardzo. Dziękuję bardzo. If we want to thank a friend, usually we use a different, more casual word. Dzięki. Dzięki. Dzięki is very similar to the English thanks, so you shouldn't use it when your friend did something especially nice for you or when the situation is serious. We usually use it to thank for small favors. For example, if a friend bought a drink for us, lent us a pen, helped us carry our bags, and so on. How do you answer? It's easy. Here are 2 different ways to do it. The first is nie ma za co. Nie ma za co. This means you're welcome. Nie ma za co can be used with anybody, except in a very formal situation. In such cases, it's better to use this expression. Przyjemność po mojej stronie. Przyjemność po mojej stronie. Literally, this phrase means pleasure is on my side. It's not a very common thing to say among young people, or between friends and family members. But it will be considered very good manners if you answer with this expression in a formal situation, such as while talking to your boss or speaking to someone much older than you. You can also simply say it to someone you don't know very well. So when someone says dziękuję to you, you can reply with nie ma za co or przyjemność po mojej stronie. If you hear dzięki, it might be a bit too much to respond to this casual phrase by saying nie ma za co or przyjemność po mojej stronie. So how might you react then? You have 2 options. First one is just to say nothing. Don't worry, it's a normal thing to do. The second option is to say spoko. Spoko. This means something like it's cool. If you want, you can also answer using this phrase. Nie ma problemu. Nie ma problemu. This means it's no problem. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. If you want to keep it simple, just use dziękuję or dziękuję bardzo when you want to thank someone. It doesn't matter whether the situation is formal or informal. It's always the same. Remember not to say przyjemność po mojej stronie to your friends, because it will sound a little bit weird. If someone thanks you saying dzięki, just answer spoko. But please note that these 2 words are very casual. Do you know what do widzenia means? In our next lesson, you'll learn this and other greetings in Polish. Dziękuję i do zobaczenia na następnej lekcji. Cześć, jestem Joanna. Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome to PolishPod101.com's Polski w 3 minuty. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Polish. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Poland. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Polish, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you are saying, even if their answer is no. Here's an informal way to say it. Czy mówisz po angielsku? Czy mówisz po angielsku? Czy is a particle which has no meaning. It's similar to the English do. In Polish, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used. Since you can understand what the pronoun is by looking at the verb conjugation, we usually skip the pronoun itself. That's why there's no pronoun after czy. Next, we've got the verb mówisz, which means speak. Then there's po, which we always have to put right before a language name. And finally, angielsku, which means English. We're now going to make this sentence formal. First of all, we have to change mówisz into mówi, because the pronoun is changed from you into a respectful pronoun meaning sir or ma'am. Then we add pan, which means sir, or pani, which means ma'am. Everything else stays the same. Czy mówi pan po angielsku? Czy mówi pani po angielsku? Czy mówi pan po angielsku? Czy mówi pani po angielsku? Adding przepraszam, excuse me, makes the sentence more polite. Przepraszam, czy mówi pan po angielsku? Przepraszam, czy mówi pani po angielsku? The response you will receive could be one of these four. Tak, yes. Tak. Trochę. A little. Trochę. Nie. No. Nie. Nie. Nie mówię po angielsku. No, I don't speak English. Nie. Nie mówię po angielsku. Since the last one is a negative statement, we need to say nie before the verb mówię. Notice also that the verb is slightly different than before. Remember, the verb changes depending on the pronoun used. We are now talking about ourselves, so the sentence is nie mówię po angielsku. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Polish people study other European languages at school, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute po angielsku with po niemiecku for German, po rosyjsku for Russian, po włosku for Italian, po hiszpańsku for Spanish, po francusku for French. Today we mentioned the expression przepraszam. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Polish. It's never too late to show your good manners with Polish people. I'll see you in our next Polski w 3 minuty lesson. Do zobaczyska! Cześć, jestem Joanna. Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome to PolishPad101.com's Polski w 3 minuty, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Polish. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase przepraszam. Czy mówisz po angielsku? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word przepraszam, which means excuse me. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to apologize in Polish. It's very easy. First of all, good news. We don't differentiate between I'm sorry and excuse me. In Polish, we have just one word, przepraszam, which can be used in both situations when we want to apologize or draw someone's attention. There's also no difference between formal and informal situations. It's always the same przepraszam. Let's go through some situations in which przepraszam can be used. If you want to draw someone's attention, just put przepraszam in front of the question. For example, przepraszam, czy to miejsce jest wolne? Excuse me, is this seat occupied? Or przepraszam, jak dojść do dworca? Excuse me, how can I get to the train station? In such a case, you can modify the question by adding panią if you're addressing a lady, or pana if you are addressing a man. For example, przepraszam panią, jak dojść do dworca? Excuse me, ma'am, how can I get to the train station? The meaning is exactly the same as before. We just emphasize the gender of a person who we talk to. You can choose whatever version you like better. Both are correct and polite. The other situation in which we use przepraszam is when we apologize. As I mentioned before, we have only this one word for making an apology. We can use it both in formal and informal situations. If you want to make your apology more complex, you could use this phrase. Jestem ci winien przeprosiny. Jestem ci winien przeprosiny. Please note that this is spoken by a man. Woman would say, jestem ci winna przeprosiny. Jestem ci winna przeprosiny. This phrase means I owe you an apology. Usually, after saying this, you are expected to explain what you did wrong or the reason why you think you owe someone an apology. There's one colloquial word used to apologize among young people. It's almost the same as the English sorry. We say sorry. Sorry. It's okay to say it to your friends, but only in the case of a small mistake, something not very serious. For example, when you step on your friend's foot or when you want to refuse going out. Now it's time for Joanna's insights. Making an apology in Polish is very easy. It's enough to just say przepraszam. Here, you don't have to worry about speaking formally or informally, or the age and gender of the person you are talking to. Do you know how to count in Polish? In the next lesson, we will learn the numbers in Polish from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next Polski w 3 minuty lesson. Do zobaczenia!
Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Co jutro robisz?
Idę do urzędu imigracyjnego.
Do urzędu imigracyjnego?
Tak, idę odebrać wizę.
To może pojutrze.
Pojutrze? Wieczorem mam wolny czas.
Dobrze, podaj mi swój e-mail.
anna.uk@gmail.com.
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Robić.
To do, to make, to take.
Iść.
To go.
Urząd imigracyjny.
Immigration office.
Odebrać.
To pick up.
Wiza.
Visa.
Pojutrze.
The day after tomorrow.
Dobrze.
Well.
E-mail.
Email.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Co jutro robisz?
Idę do urzędu imigracyjnego.
Do urzędu imigracyjnego?
Tak, idę odebrać wizę.
To może pojutrze.
Pojutrze? Wieczorem mam wolny czas.
Dobrze, podaj mi swój e-mail.
anna.uk@gmail.com.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Proszę, to jest pani wiza. Proszę tutaj podpisać.
Tutaj, tak? Do kiedy jest ważna ta wiza?
Pani wiza jest ważna do 2017 roku.
O, 3 lata. Dziękuję.
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Tak.
Yes.
Kiedy?
When.
Do.
To. Until.
Podpisać.
To sign.
Być ważnym.
To be valid.
Tutaj.
Here.
Rok.
Year.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Proszę, to jest pani wiza. Proszę tutaj podpisać.
Tutaj, tak? Do kiedy jest ważna ta wiza?
Pani wiza jest ważna do 2017 roku.
O, 3 lata. Dziękuję.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Dzień dobry. Jak się pan ma?
Dobrze, ale jestem zmęczony. A ty?
Ja też. To pewnie przez tę okropną pogodę. Mam już wizę.
To wspaniale. Gratuluję.
Dziękuję.
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Jak?
How.
Gratulować.
To congratulate.
Wspaniale.
Wonderfully.
Już.
Already.
Pogoda.
Weather.
Przez.
Through.
Zmęczony.
Tired.
Pewnie.
Probably.
Okropny.
Awful. Terrible.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Dzień dobry. Jak się pan ma?
Dobrze, ale jestem zmęczony. A ty?
Ja też. To pewnie przez tę okropną pogodę. Mam już wizę.
To wspaniale. Gratuluję.
Dziękuję.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
O, lotto. Gramy?
Co to jest lotto?
To loteria. Wybierasz 6 numerów od 1 do 49.
6 numerów, tak?
Tak, los kosztuje 3 złote. Kiedy dobrze wybierzesz 6 numerów, wygrywasz 1 000 000.
Milion? O, to gramy. Ja mam szczęście.
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Grać.
To play.
Milion.
Million.
Wygrać.
To win.
Loteria.
Lottery.
Los.
Lot. Lottery ticket. Fate.
Numer.
Number.
Szczęście.
Luck.
Wybierać.
To choose.
Od. Do.
From. To.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
O, lotto. Gramy?
Co to jest lotto?
To loteria. Wybierasz 6 numerów od 1 do 49.
6 numerów, tak?
Tak, los kosztuje 3 złote. Kiedy dobrze wybierzesz 6 numerów, wygrywasz 1 000 000.
Milion? O, to gramy. Ja mam szczęście.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Która jest godzina?
Kwadrans po 10. A co?
O nie, mam zadanie domowe. Muszę złapać autobus o 10:30.
Z polskiego? Pomogę ci.
Nie, sama zrobię. Na razie.
Do jutra.
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Do jutra.
Until tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Po.
After. Past.
Na razie.
For the time being. See you.
Zrobić.
To take, to do, to make.
Godzina.
Hour.
Sam.
Oneself, alone.
Kwadrans.
Quarter of an hour.
Zadanie domowe.
Homework.
Pomagać.
To help.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Która jest godzina?
Kwadrans po 10. A co?
O nie, mam zadanie domowe. Muszę złapać autobus o 10:30.
Z polskiego? Pomogę ci.
Nie, sama zrobię. Na razie.
Do jutra.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Przepraszam, kiedy jest test?
W środę, w przyszłym tygodniu.
A kiedy są wakacje?
Wakacje? Dopiero od lipca.
Od lipca? Tak długo?
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Lipiec.
July.
Środa.
Wednesday.
Długo.
Long.
Kiedy?
When.
Przyszły tydzień.
Next week.
Wakacje.
Holidays.
Dopiero.
Only. Until.
Przepraszać.
To excuse. To apologize.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Przepraszam, kiedy jest test?
W środę, w przyszłym tygodniu.
A kiedy są wakacje?
Wakacje? Dopiero od lipca.
Od lipca? Tak długo?
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Most people who learn a foreign language learn it so that they can one day have real-life conversations with native speakers. When you start out learning and crack open your first textbook or listen to your first podcast, having a real conversation can feel like a fantasy. When everything about a language feels new, it can be overwhelming. But this couldn't be further from the truth. While it does take a significant amount of time and effort to become fluent, having a conversation might not be as far off as you think. In this video, we'll look at 3 ways you can boost your conversational skills and start talking to native speakers. Number 1, find native speakers and practice with them. It's unlikely you live near a big group of native speakers to practice with. If you happen to be in a major or international city, your chances may be better. Check and see if your city has a general language exchange. Chances are there could be a native speaker there who is also trying to learn another language. Practicing in person with a native speaker is probably the most interesting option for honing your speaking skills. But if you can't find anyone where you live, the next best option is to look online. Luckily for language learners, the past 10 years or so have seen an explosion in online language exchange sites. On these websites, you can search for someone who is a native speaker of your target language and is also learning your native language. The idea behind a language exchange is that you communicate with them via video or text chat, and half of the time, they help you practice your target language. And for the other half, you help them practice theirs. Practicing via an online language exchange is a highly effective way to practice your conversational skills. Number 2, work on pronunciation. Pronunciation is often an overlooked skill when it comes to learning a foreign language. Most people think of a good foreign accent as a luxury rather than a necessity. But what most people don't talk about is how having a good accent boosts your listening and comprehension skills. If you can hear a sound from a foreign language and know how to make it yourself, then you're more likely to understand native speakers when they talk at normal speed, and you're also more likely to remember any new words or phrases you come across. Having a good accent means that the language no longer sounds foreign. Instead, it sounds familiar, maybe even natural. So how do you go about perfecting your accent? The best way is to break down the language into its individual sounds. Make note of any sounds that are the same or similar to your native language and of those that are different. Of the sounds that are different, spend your time practicing the ones that you find the hardest to say correctly. After you're comfortable with the individual sounds, you can start linking together words and phrases. This is where accent practice starts to get really fun and interesting. Get your hands on some native speaker audio from a TV show, song, or podcast. Play the audio back and listen closely a few times. Take note of how words blend together in speech. Then, do your best to imitate what you hear, trying to match the speaker's emphasis and intonation. Our language learning program's playback feature is perfect for this. Record yourself and compare it to the original recording. Rinse and repeat until you're comfortable with the audio selection, and then move on to something more difficult. This is how you can break through the accent barrier and really start to make the language your own. Number 3, learn phrases, not just individual words. Learning grammar and individual words is great, but it's not the only approach you should take if you want to speak fluently. In addition to your regular grammar and vocabulary, try learning whole phrases, even if you aren't totally sure how they work grammatically. Learn phrases that are specific to your needs. It's a good idea to learn phrases that are grouped around a certain setting or subject, such as simple greetings or introductions, questions for getting to know someone, or traveling comfortably. You can even learn filler phrases, which you can use so that you have something to say when, well, you don't know what to say. Learning phrases like this will help you become conversational faster. You may not understand what you're saying literally, but as long as you know the general meaning behind the phrase and know when to use it, you'll be able to talk like a native. Eventually, your knowledge of grammar and vocabulary should catch up with the phrases you know. Learning a new language should feel like an adventure. There will be plateaus and periods in your learning where it feels like you're hitting a wall, but being able to speak with native speakers and have real conversations will help you combat language fatigue. After all, talking to someone face-to-face in a foreign language is one of the main reasons we start learning in the first place. And for even more ways to gain conversation skills, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Welcome to Can Do Polish by PolishPod101.com.
Cześć wszystkim, jestem Emil Nowak. Hi everyone, I'm Emil Nowak. In this lesson, you'll learn how to introduce yourself in Polish.
This is Mark Lee, and he's on a plane to Poland. Mark is having a casual conversation with Maciej Mazur, a passenger sitting next to him. After a short exchange, Maciej introduces himself. My name is Maciej Mazur, and you are?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan?
Listen to the conversation and focus on Mark's response. Ready?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan? Jestem Mark Lee. Miło mi.
Once more with the English translation.
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan?
My name is Maciej Mazur. And you are?
Jestem Mark Lee. Miło mi.
I'm Mark Lee. Nice to meet you.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Maciej Mazur introduces himself? I'm Maciej Mazur. And you are?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan?
First is,
Nazywam się.
meaning I call myself.
Nazywam się.
Note
Nazywam się.
is the shortened form of,
Ja nazywam się.
in Polish,
Ja.
I is usually omitted,
Nazywam się.
is from the verb,
Nazywać się.
meaning to call oneself.
Nazywać się.
Next is the name
Maciej Mazur.
Maciej Mazur.
Maciej Mazur. Maciej Mazur.
Together,
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur.
literally, I call myself Maciej Mazur, but it translates as my name is Maciej Mazur.
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur.
Next is,
A pan?
which translates as and you are in this context.
A pan?
First is
A.
and, as in and you are.
A. A.
Next is
Pan.
translating as you in this formal context.
Pan. Pan.
Note
Pan.
is a formal way to address a male, and it often translates as Mr. Altogether, it's
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan?
literally, I call myself Maciej Mazur. And you? But translates as my name is Maciej Mazur. And you are?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan?
Do you remember how Mark says, I'm Mark Lee. Nice to meet you.
Jestem Mark Lee. Miło mi.
First is
Jestem.
I am.
Jestem. Jestem.
Note
Jestem.
is a shortened form of
Ja jestem.
I am. In Polish,
Ja.
I is usually omitted as it is understood from context. Next is the name
Mark Lee.
Mark Lee.
Mark Lee. Mark Lee.
Together,
Jestem Mark Lee.
I'm Mark Lee.
Jestem Mark Lee.
Next is
Miło mi.
literally pleases me, but translates as nice to meet you.
Miło mi. Miło mi.
This expression can be used in many contexts and is appropriate for both formal and informal situations. Altogether, it's
Jestem Mark Lee. Miło mi.
literally, I'm Mark Lee, pleases me. But it translates as I'm Mark Lee. Nice to meet you.
Jestem Mark Lee. Miło mi.
The pattern is
Jestem name.
I'm name.
Jestem name.
To use this pattern, simply replace the name placeholder with your given name or given name and surname. Note, this pattern requires a proper noun. Imagine you're Karen Lee. In Polish,
Karen Lee. Karen Lee. Karen Lee.
say, I'm Karen Lee. Ready?
Jestem Karen Lee.
I'm Karen Lee.
Jestem Karen Lee.
In Polish, there are both informal and formal ways of speaking. What you use depends on whom you're speaking with. According to Polish etiquette, in a formal situation, the person you're talking to should be addressed in a polite manner. When addressing a male, use pan, meaning Mr. When addressing a female, use pani, meaning Miss. This is also the polite way to approach strangers, people significantly older than you, and others in a formal situation. In the conversation you learned, a pan, and you, when addressing a male. If Maciej were addressing a female, he would have said a pani, and you. In casual situations or when talking to your peers, you can use the informal ty, meaning you. A ty, and you.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. Nazywam się Maciej Mazur.
Jestem Mark Lee. Jestem Mark Lee.
Jestem Karen. Miło mi. Jestem Karen. Miło mi.
Dzień dobry. Jestem Emil Nowak. Dzień dobry. Jestem Emil Nowak.
Mam na imię Zuzanna. Mam na imię Zuzanna.
Did you notice how the last speaker uses a different pattern?
Mam na imię Zuzanna.
My name is Zuzanna.
Mam na imię Zuzanna.
First is
Mam.
literally I have, but translates as my in this context.
Mam. Mam.
Note,
Mam.
is the shortened form of,
Ja mam.
in Polish,
Ja.
I is usually omitted,
Mam.
is from the verb
Mieć.
meaning to have.
Mieć.
Next is
Na.
at.
Na. Na.
Note, there is no corresponding English translation for.
Na.
Next is
Imię.
literally first name, but translates as name.
Imię. Imię.
Together,
Mam na imię.
my first name is.
Mam na imię.
Note, this pattern can only be used with first names and requires a proper noun. Next is the name
Zuzanna.
Zuzanna.
Zuzanna. Zuzanna.
Altogether,
Mam na imię Zuzanna.
literally means I have first name Zuzanna, but translates as my name is Zuzanna.
Mam na imię Zuzanna.
The pattern is
Mam na imię name.
my name is name. To use this pattern, simply replace the name placeholder with your first name. You should be aware of this pattern, but you won't need it for this lesson. Let's review the new vocabulary.
Dzień dobry.
Hello,
Dzień dobry. Dzień dobry. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then, repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say, nice to meet you? Miło mi. Miło mi. And the Polish pronunciation of Mark Lee's name. Mark Lee. Mark Lee. Do you remember how Mark Lee says, "I'm Mark Lee"? Jestem Mark Lee. Jestem Mark Lee. Do you remember how Mark Lee says, "I'm Mark Lee. Nice to meet you"?
Jestem Mark Lee. Miło mi.
Jestem Mark Lee. Miło mi. Do you remember how Maciej Mazur says, "My name is Maciej Mazur"? Literally, I call myself Maciej Mazur. Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. Do you remember the formal word for you when addressing a male speaker? Pan. Pan. Do you remember how Maciej Mazur says, "My name is Maciej Mazur, and you are"?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pan? And do you remember the formal word for you when addressing a female speaker? Pani. Pani.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Karen Lee.
Karen Lee.
Respond by saying, "I'm Karen Lee." Ready?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pani?
Jestem Karen Lee.
Listen again and repeat.
Jestem Karen Lee. Jestem Karen Lee.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Zuzanna Zając.
Zuzanna Zając.
Include "nice to meet you" in your response. Ready?
Nazywam się Maciej Mazur. A pani?
Jestem Zuzanna Zając. Miło mi.
Listen again and repeat.
Jestem Zuzanna Zając. Miło mi. Jestem Zuzanna Zając. Miło mi.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Emil Nowak.
Emil Nowak.
Say, "My name is Emil Nowak." Literally, I call myself Emil Nowak. Ready?
Jestem Maciej Mazur. A pan?
Nazywam się Emil Nowak.
Listen again and repeat.
Nazywam się Emil Nowak. Nazywam się Emil Nowak. In casual situations, you can also use this pattern with just your first name. For example, Karen Lee can simply say, "Jestem Karen." I'm Karen. Jestem Karen. This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again. So try anytime you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Now you know how to introduce yourself in Polish. That's all there is to it. keep practicing, and move on to the next lesson. This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to introduce yourself in Polish. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Today we're going to talk about 4 techniques to help you stop translating in your head and instead start thinking in your target language. This will allow you to have conversations with ease, read smoothly, and better understand native speakers. These are 4 methods to help you think in a new language. Number 1. Surround yourself with your target language. This way, you'll be completely immersed in the language. Without realizing it, you'll learn pronunciation, sentence structures, grammar, and new vocabulary. Play music in the background while you're cooking, or have a radio station on while you study. Just use one of our endless podcasts available to you. These are easy to listen to in the background while doing other things. Number 2. Learn through observation. This is how we all learned our native languages as kids. Words will develop their own meanings that relate better to your target language, rather than meanings that are translated directly. Number 3. Speak out loud to yourself. Even if you're a little embarrassed, it forces you to listen to how you speak. It makes it much easier to spot simple grammar mistakes. Number 4. Practice daily. If you practice everything for only one day, you won't retain the information you learned. The brain can realistically only focus for about 30 minutes. So studying a little every day allows you to absorb better. Follow these steps and have patience. You'll soon be able to achieve your language learning goals. Just make sure to remember these 4 methods. Sign up for your free lifetime account. No credit card required, and you'll get the best free online resources. And start learning more every day. Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Polish ebook before it's gone.